Let's break down this question. What's required of you for this patient is you need to prepare an infusion of cotrimoxazole antibiotic at a dose of 120 mg per kg per day, but needs to be given in 4 divided dose. So it's like giving it QID or every 6 hours. Your patient weighs 68 kg, and we got ampoules that come in 5 mils, but got a strength of 96 mg per kg. And they want to know the volume that you give the patient per dose. Being asked per dose, remember the recommended dose is per days. So we need to remember that. So the way we could work with this question is start breaking the question down here. We got the recommended dose by the doctors or by the book. It's equal to 120 mg per kg per day. And this needs to be given in 4 divided doses, or just QID. That's what it means. How many kilos is our patient? Is 68 kilos. So we could use the formula number 1 here. Formula number 1. And this should be our dose that we need to give is equal to the recommended dose times the weight. And this needs to be in kilos. So the next step is to say 120 mg per kg per day times 68 kg. Because we got kilos here, this can cancel this. And if you do your numbers with your calculators, this one should give you 8,160 mg per day. Remember, the question is asking you about the dose. So what we could do, because we are giving this medication in 4 divided doses, what we could do at this point is to say 8160 mg per day divided by 4, or the QID that you're giving. So eventually we'll end up with, again, if you're to use your calculators again, you end up with 240 mg, and this will be per dose. Now at least we are getting what we need. Remember, this one is in mg, so we can't stop here because this one is an mg and this one is asking you the volume. So we need to calculate the volume, and the volume should be in milliliters. So the next step that we need to move on and do is look at what the ampoule is coming at. The strength of the ampoule that we got, the ampoule strength is 96 mg per mil, but they come as 5 mil ampoules. So we need to ask ourselves the question, if the strength of this ampoule or the medication is 96 mg per mil, how much of this medication will be in 5 mils? So what you need to do here, you need to say 96 mg times the 5 mils, because it will go in 5 times. And if you were to do your calculation here now, you could end up with using your calculators again, because you'll be allowed to use them. So you could say 96 times 5. So you end up with, which will give you 480 mg in 5 mils. So this becomes now, technically this part becomes your stock strength, or what you got at hand. So remember, here we say this is what we need to give. So this one will become your stock required, and this one over here becomes your stock strength, and this one here becomes your volume. So if we were to go and look at the formula number 2, Formula number 2 over here. This one is the dose that you need to give is equal to the stock required over stock strength times the volume. And here we know very well that our stock required, because we've done the calculation, is 2040 mg, and this is per dose. And you got your stock strength as 480 mg, and your volume is 5 mils. So the next thing you need to do over here is just to put what you need over here. So you got that, we got this, we got this, we got this. So we should be able to straight away just put what we need. And if I was to come and just work with that formula over there, we'll say is 2040 mg divided by 480, and then this is mg, then you multiply by 5 mils to see how much of the volume that you need for this question. So moving forward, you see that by 480, then you multiply by 5, it should give you 21.25 mils, because this and this will cancel in a way. And that's what you're left with. That's one way of looking at it. But remember, if we were to go back to the question, there's a volume that you need to give. So that becomes a volume to be administered. So if you had to go back and have a look at your question, what the question wanted you to address is the volume that you can give per dose. So there's question part 2. How many ampules do you need? So if I was to look at, this is part B. So the part B, they want to know how many ampules you're going to use. Remember, we said the ampule that we got over here is 40 mg. So our ampule comes as, the ampule that we got is coming as 480 mg in 5 mils. So if that's what we need to give it in 5 mils, all I need to come and do is to say 21.25 divided by 5. This is the mils, and then we got those ampules that come as that. So what you need to do is divide this will cancel this, and we got 25.125 divided by 5. This will give you 4 1/4 or 4.5 ampules. Remember, you can't come to the pharmacy to ask for 1/4 of an ampule. So what you need to do is to estimate that you need 5 ampules, and of course you discard what's needed. So that part of the question is answered. And if you think about the question again, there is a part C of the question. Is asking how many ampules do you need in 24 hours. Remember, part C is asking ampules that you need to give in 24 hours. This medication is being given 4 times a day. So you'll say 5 ampules that you need for every single dose times 4, because you give the medication 4 times in a day. So it's 4 times in a day, which is QID. And this should give you, you go or come to the pharmacy and you ask for 20 ampules for this patient of yours. And all the questions have been addressed for this.